So when we look at locational factors, what we're looking at is, yes, okay, I see that factory is there, but why is it there? Okay, or I see that store is there or that restaurant there, but why? Okay, geographers, economists, all the theys that we talk about, okay, they are always looking at why. Why is it there? It's the why of the where. Okay, so the first thing that we look at is situation factors. Now, whenever we talk situation factors, basically what we're talking about is like what's around that area. Okay, so this is like relative location. So it's not exactly the dot on the map. Okay, it's more of like, okay, if I do decide to locate here, what all will I have access to? Okay, kind of like in a circle, right? So if I were to ask you, like, what's the relative location of Wakeland? What could you tell me?
Chick-fil-A.
It's by Chick-fil-A. It's by Target. It's by Bahama Bucks, okay? But does that get you exactly to the spot? No, but it gets you close. It gives you an idea, right? So that's what we're talking about when we're looking at situation factors here. Okay, so we look at, one of the things that we look at when we look at, okay, well, what's around? Okay, one of the things you have to consider is what's called proximity to inputs. Okay, that sounds like really super complicated and fancy, all right? But what does proximity mean?
Proximal.
What?
Near.
Closeness. Okay, so this is close to. Okay. And then if you're a factory, like if you're producing something, what are your inputs?
What you say, like your opinion.
Like what do you bring in though? Resources. Okay. So your inputs are like your resources. All right. So now we've turned proximity to inputs into, am I close to my resources? Okay. So that's what you're considering. All right. Now, some businesses, they don't need to be close to their resources, but some do. Okay. So if they do need to be close to their resources, meaning proximity to inputs, it's because they are a bulk reducing industry. Okay. Well, let's break that down. What's bulk?
Big.
The amount.
Amount, yeah, that's kind of close. Weight. Okay, and what's reducing?
Bringing down.
Yeah, okay, so losing. So if you are a weight losing, bulk reducing industry, that means your resource is really heavy, and then after you produce it, it comes out lighter. Okay, so like it goes on a diet during the manufacturing process, basically. Okay, so let's think about how many have ever mailed something before? Like at the post office. Okay, what do they do to your package? They weigh it. Okay, and then that's how they decide how much it's going to cost you to ship it. Okay, so same thing with bulk reducing. You have to get your resource to you. The heavier it is, the more expensive it is. So if it's really heavy, do you want to be close to it?
Yeah.
Why?
So that it's less money.
Yeah, so it's less money. It's cheaper. Okay, so if it's a bulk reducing industry, it is a weight losing industry, meaning they have to be close to their inputs, to their resources. Okay, so these right here that are on here, like copper and steel, those are like the two most common types of bulk reducing. Okay, yes?
Wait, so like when you ship something, is it more like, okay, just say like weighs a lot, like is it more expensive to like ship it farther?
Actually, no. Like the farther something is going, the cheaper it is because they'll put it on a slower mode of transportation. We'll get there. Hang on to that thought. Okay. So now, sometimes your company, it doesn't have to be close to the resource. Okay. So it's not proximity to inputs. It's proximity to markets. Okay. So remind me one more time, what is proximity?
Near.
Yeah, close to. And then what's market?
The place where you're going to sell it.
Who do you sell to?
The stores.
The consumers. Are you a market? Yeah, you buy stuff. People love to advertise to you because you buy a lot of things. Okay, so markets are your customers. Okay, so we fancy it up and we call them markets. Okay. All right, so if it's proximity to market, it's kind of opposite of proximity to input. Okay, so where proximity to input was bulk reducing, this is bulk gaining. Okay, so then what does that mean? What is the product doing? It's gaining weight. Yeah, it's getting heavier. Okay, it gobbled up a lot, came out bigger. Okay, all right, so same thing. All right, since it's bulk gaining, they're going to have to be closer to the customer. Otherwise, it's going to cost too much to get the final product to the customer. Okay, and if it costs too much to get the final product to you, what happens to the price you pay?
It goes up.
It goes up. And do you want to do that? No. Okay. So, and businesses know that. Okay. Now, these three are the most common type. The ones that you see right here, they're the most common type of bulk gaining. So, remember the Coca-Cola video we watched?
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's like this right here. Okay. And then remember the cars? Okay. The ones in Brazil. Cars. That's cars. Okay. So now let me explain something a little bit about the cars. Okay, we call that JIT production, okay, because it's just in time, all right? So here's what happens, especially with assembly lines. Okay, you have something on an assembly line, what do people do?
They mess up.
They each do one part, okay? So, not mess up. So you take something, you put it on the car keeps going. You take that same thing, you pick it up, you put it on the car keeps going. You keep doing that. But they don't store those products. They don't store those pieces. And the reason they don't store them is because they want the assembly line to be longer so they can do more. Okay, so since they don't store that stuff, they get deliveries. And they get deliveries like every 2 hours of things, okay, that they're constantly working with. And when do they get them? Just in time. That's why they call it just-in-time production. Okay, so nothing creative about that name. So these types of industries, they get deliveries like every 2 hours.
Wait, deliveries for what?
The parts that they need.
Ms. Hernandez, I need to take off my lens. It's really bothering me. So
Okay, go.
I'm
Okay, another thing that has to be close to market, perishable products. What does it mean if it's perishable?
They die. It dies.
Well, not, you don't say
like
die.
salad, like
Like
they're
it goes
raw.
bad. It goes bad. Yeah, it spoils. Okay, so give me some examples.
fish.
Salad.
Well, let's be more, yeah, okay.
Dairy.
No.
Cheese.
That's dairy. Wait, that's diary.
I always get that confused.
What else?
Vegetables and fruits.
Lettuce.
That's a vegetable.
I know. I said lettuce like.
What about this?
Newspaper?
What?
Because
Yeah. Once you print news, is it old? Yeah, because stuff happens all the time. Okay, so they have to be in the market, close to the market. Now, I know these days we don't use newspapers and magazines as much as we used to, but back in the day, and some people still do, the newspapers had to be close to the market because if it takes too long to get to your people, they're not going to read it. They're not going to want it. It's old news. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. All right, so let's talk about how this stuff gets shipped. Okay, so this is where your question comes in. Okay, so, all right. Now, if you look at this right here, the farther something is transported, the lower the cost per kilometer or per mile. Okay, here's why. So, if I need to ship something, let's say all the way to China, okay? I have a friend in China who needs a delivery, okay? Now, if I ship it by air, what's going to happen to the price of the shipment?
It's going to go up.
Yeah, okay? Because, and here's why, airplanes are expensive to operate. Okay, you got to pay the pilots, okay, those are a special skill. Jet fuel is really expensive. And can you load down an airplane with as much weight as you want? No, why not?
it could like. not
Yeah, it
work.
won't fly, okay? So if you want your plane to fly, it has to be minimal, right? Okay, so that's why that's why it gets cheaper. Because if I'm going to China, it's probably just going to get loaded on a boat that's making a trip over there. It's going to be slow, yes, but it's going to be cheap, okay? Because can you load down a boat with as much weight as you want?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, okay? Because you've got these big, huge container ships, they carry tons of weight, like literally tons, okay? So you can load down a boat with way more. The fuel is way cheaper, Okay, it doesn't need as many people to operate. Okay, so everything, the price comes down. All right, but let's say I don't really need to go to China. Let's say I just want to, ship it across the country. Okay, it might go on train then. Okay, train is pretty cheap. It doesn't need to rest. Okay, you can load it down with a fair amount. Okay, so that's still pretty cheap. It's going to take a little longer, all right, but I'm still not going to fly it out to California because that's going to be pricey if I overnight it. Okay, but let's say I need it just to go like to San Antonio. Then what might you put it on?
A plane. A car. A car.
Well, but we don't do truck. Okay.
A truck.
So like, the big 18-wheelers? Okay, that's what takes mail from city to city. Okay. So if I just needed to go to that, that's like a one-day thing. That's what we use trucks for. They can carry a lot of weight, not too much, but here's why we only use them for like one-day stuff. Because can they go for forever without rest?
No.
Why not?
Because
someone's driving it. Okay, you don't want your driver to fall asleep.
What about trains?
Okay.
That's the same thing with trains.
It's on a track.
Wait, say that again?
It's different because it's on a track.
So they can sleep?
Yeah.
So you have to operate it like...
I mean, it's not like you're driving it on a track. Yeah.
So the labor limit for a truck driver is like 12 hours, right?
Ish. Yeah. Yeah.
And there's usually 2 people.
Yeah.
Wait, but so then how does it...
Okay, let's talk about the actual theories then. So we're going to talk about some of these guys here. Four different guys. Okay, so anytime we look at a theorist, okay, or somebody who comes up with the model, okay, we always look at when they were and where they were, okay. It's always important to look at those things because it gives you kind of sort of an insight into like what they were thinking about. Okay, so for this first guy, remember the triangle in chapter 15?
Yeah.
Okay.
Locational triangle.
Yes. Okay, so that's Weber. Okay, so it's not Weber, it's Weber. He's German, so you gotta fancy it up a little bit. Okay, so he's 1909 and he's Germany. So think about it. In the world, what's going on in 1909? Yes, okay, so we've already gone through the Industrial Revolution in Europe, and now it's starting to hit who?
Germany.
No.
America.
Yes, the U.S. Okay, so now that we know, okay, the UK and Germany were the ones that were really successful at this time, so it makes sense that all the thinkers come from these two places, okay? All right, so Weber's thing is least cost theory. So guess what he's trying to do?
Save money.
Save money wherever he can, okay? So his whole thing is save money anywhere you can, okay, to maximize profit. So you want your money to go up. Okay, so he says you have to look at 3 things to do this. One thing that you have to look at is transportation costs. Okay, so here's where bulk gaining and bulk reducing come in. So he says depending on whether you're bulk gaining or bulk reducing depends on like how close or far you are from the market. Okay, so if you're bulk reducing, you're going to be closer to what?
The provider.
The resource.
Wait, is bulk reducing better?
No, and one's not better than the other. Don't look at it like that.
Wait, but how? Because wouldn't bulk reducing be better because your cost would be...
No, you just locate close to your input, so you save transportation costs there. Okay, and then bulk gaining, you're close to what?
The consumer.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right, so he says you have to, whichever one is going to be cheaper, that's the one you locate next to. Okay, then he says for labor, okay, if you're labor intensive, like what type of industry?
Textile.
Textile.
Yeah.
Okay, so he says if you're like the textile industry, then you're going to be spending a little bit more on labor. Okay, so you probably are going to locate in an LDC or a NIC. So if you're saving money on the labor side, where can you spend a little bit more?
On the quality.
On the transportation.
On the transportation side. Okay, and vice versa. If you're saving money on the transportation side, you can afford to spend a little more on the labor side. Okay, so he says you gotta be able to cut wherever you can. okay, so that you can save money. Then he also says once you kind of decide where you're going to be, you need to look at agglomeration. So agglomeration is just who are your neighbors and can you benefit from them? Okay, so like say for example, you locate next to an office furniture manufacturing. Okay, so are you going to need office furniture for the offices in your factory? Yeah, so you might be able to benefit off that. Okay, but let's say you locate next to factories that really aren't manufacturing anything you need, but they have a deal with a transportation company. Could that benefit you? Yeah. Yeah, you could get in on the deal and maybe save some money on the transport side. Okay, so you want that Goldilocks condition, right? Okay, you don't want too much agglomeration because then you don't want to be spending too much in other places, okay? You want it to be just right so that it benefits you without any negative effects. Okay, so that's what agglomeration means. Okay, so Weber, he's all about saving money to maximize the profit. Okay, I want to make the most money. Where can I cut costs? Okay, then you've got this other guy. His name is hoteling. That's how you say that, hoteling. Okay, he's 1929, and he's actually American. Okay, so in 1929, we've just finished what war? World War I, and we're kind of moving into what now?
World War II.
The Depression. Okay, so it's kind of gloomy. It's kind of gloomy at this time. People are worried about money. Okay, so how many of you have ever seen... Well, okay, so whenever a CVS goes up, what goes across the street?
Walgreens.
Walgreens. Okay, so I'm writing in the wrong spot right here.
Yeah, racetrack and QT is like.
Yeah.
Like Chick-fil-A.
Okay, so there's a reason for that. Okay, so racetrack. Well, really, any gas station and any gas station is kind of like that. Okay, so here's why they do that. Hoteling says, no, you don't need to worry about all those other things. What you need to worry about is where your competition is, and then you need to be by them. Okay, because he says you can steal customers from them. All right, but it's actually a two-way street. You're going to be stealing customers from each other. Okay, so think about this. Okay, CVS and Walgreens or Racetrack and QT, they're the same. Okay, they might have slightly different prices one day on one thing. Okay, so you might be driving down the road and see CVS and Walgreens, and you think, well, I need to go to one of those. CVS is on my side. I'm just going to go to that one. Okay, it's convenient. Right? Okay, QT Racetrack, same thing. Because really, in the end, what are they, 2-3 cents different? I mean, are you even going to be saving $1? Okay, but it's on your side, so you're going to go to that one. So a lot of times what they do is they'll locate one's on the way to work, one's on the way home from work, right? Okay, so they do that on purpose because then it becomes a matter of convenience, and that's what we're about. We're convenient people. Okay, we like to be convenient. Okay, so... we'll go to what's convenient. Now, of course, you have your diehard CVS people. Okay, they're never going to go anywhere else but CVS. Okay, so naturally that's not going to apply to them. Okay, but I mean, that's fundamentally what it's all about. I'm going to steal customers from you to maximize my profit, and vice versa. It works both ways. Okay, yeah.
Wait, but wouldn't in a way they'd be losing money? Because what if they went to a place where no QT was, and then
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there. Racetrack got here first. QT came the year after. They follow each other.
But I don't understand why, though.
Because they're stealing customers from each other. It's competition.
Nobody really cares
But
about
what if Racetrack just went somewhere else, and then they would get people from both sides of the street?
Yeah, but eventually another gas station will open up.
Walgreens
Because they do it on purpose. So it would be like this. Let's say I was selling ice cream in this room, and then you were like, oh, I want to sell ice cream too. Okay, so let's say one day you decide to locate right dead in the center of the room. I'm going to locate right behind you. So the people in the back half, they'll come to you, but the people in the front half, they're going to come to me because they just don't want to walk those 2 extra steps. Okay, that's really what it's about. They do it to steal customers. It's a competition thing. Now, you as a customer, you like this because it keeps your price down. So you want them to compete with each other. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this other guy. So this guy, he's German. His name is Lusch. Okay, he's 1967. So we're kind of really right in the middle of what?
No, that's after World War II.
What's after World War II?
Cold War.
The Cold War. Okay,
Too many wars.
so we're kind of right in the middle of the Cold War. All right, so Lusch. Okay, so he says, no, forget what Weber says, forget what Hotelling says. Really, it's all about being in the market, okay? Yes, it's going to be expensive if you're located right in the middle of the market, but if you are too far away from the market, will the market forget about you?
Yes.
Yes, okay? So think about like, sorry guys, but this is mostly a dominant female class here. Okay, like Blue Door down the street, the little boutique. And what else is over there? Twisted Simplicity or something. Okay. Okay, now, do people in Plano necessarily know about those? No. So they forget about them, okay? So they're focused on Frisco's market, right? But if they want to go bigger, okay, they're going to have to get more centrally located if they want to meet those people in Plano, get them to come over. Okay, they're going to have to spend more on advertising and things like that because they're too far from Plano's market, so Plano forgets about them. Does that make sense?
Can't they just open up another store?
Well, but it takes money to do that.
Yeah. Then in the end you make.
Okay, so he says don't be too far from the market. So what they call that is distance decay. Okay, the farther away you are distance-wise from the market, like the knowledge about your particular service is decayed, right? So they don't know enough about you. Okay, and then the last guy we need to talk about is Kristaller. Now I'm not gonna go too in depth with Kristaller. Guess what? He's German. Okay, I'm not gonna go too in depth with him because we're gonna talk about him again when we get to cities. Okay, so at the end of the year. Okay, so we're opening up with Kristaller and then we're gonna close with Kristaller. Okay, so what does central place mean? What is central?
Like in the center.
Yeah, it's in the center. That's exactly what it is. Okay, so there's my central place. Okay, and you don't need to draw this. You just need to know what the terms are. Okay, so give me a grocery store. Target. Okay.
I love Target. Because Target is better than everything else. I agree. I
So much better.
love Target.
Okay, so let's say that Target is my central place. Okay.
I hate Walmart.
So we've gotten that. Okay, we've got our central place. Now in your mind, I want you to keep this simple. Okay, it can get super complicated because then you got to factor in like Walmart central place and Sprouts central place and Kroger central place. So really, this can be like layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. Okay, but we're keeping it simple. Okay, so the market is what surrounds it. Okay, there, I surrounded it. Now it has a market. Okay, so this area, that's the market. That's where you guys live. Okay, those are the customers. Okay, now when the customers are out of their houses, they become the threshold. Okay, so all of these peeps here, they're threshold. Okay, so the threshold is basically the minimum number of people it's going to take for your particular store or service to be successful. Okay, so let's think about this. Is Target going to open out in the middle of, like, say, Salina? No, there's not enough people there. Now, one day there might be a Target there, yes. Okay, but right now, they don't need that. So Salina comes into Frisco to go to Target, okay? All right, so that's my threshold. And then this edge right here, that's the range. Okay, so basically what that's saying is that these people right here that live in this market area, not outside the range, but inside it, they're going to go to that Target.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, if you have somebody just outside the range, okay, right here, they'll go to the Target by the mall. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm telling you. Like, it can get really crazy complicated. Okay, but once you simplify it, you can kind of tell, like, okay. Now, you can switch Target out, make it Sprouts. Same thing.
No, they're not.
Okay? You can switch it out again, make it Whataburger. It's the same idea. Okay? Switch it out again, make it the mall. Same thing. Okay? So it's just whatever is in there, that central place. Okay? They consider those things before they decide to build and open up.
Do like two targets ever like overlap?
Yeah.
No, because so like say for example, there used to be just one in Frisco, and that was the one over by the mall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so people that lived over here had to go all the way over there if they wanted to go to Target. Okay, so then after a while, once Frisco gets more and more population, so then they decide, okay, well, this now is not centrally located anymore, so I need to add another one because now Frisco has another center. Does that make sense?
So they
Yeah.
This may sound dumb.
So if we get more populated, there might be another one. I mean, there's already like 3 Walmarts. So,
This may sound dumb, but is Target a franchise?
yes.
They're a franchise?
Well, not like a franchise. They're like a chain.
But, like,
There's a lot of them.
but not like a franchise where like you wanna like make like a separate person goes and like makes it up.
No, no.
What I don't understand is that other places like Target, where it's always full, they have like 3 cash registers open. Like,
I don't know.
I don't
I don't
get
know.
it.
They don't have enough employees.
So like for my church, like we had one campus and like then it got